afternoon, and looks like someone has been bothering me to request that one mascot from SBT. Please be patient, by the way. Today is raining a little bit, by the way. It's gonna be a very normal day, by the way. Paramount Sky, that sucks. Don't you agree? Yeah, I probably agree, by the way. He is also gonna own the rights to the Warner Bros. Company. hmm Oh, by the way, I keep getting copyright claimed by some random company when I use this soundtrack. Gosh, my sister's so bossy. Sorry, my mom just asked me what she was doing. She is doing a little draft statue. Oh, by the way, I already seen your transcript, by the way. The episode will release in January. Okay. Don't forget hot sauce can just All done. I picked up my profile picture. Kinda cute. talk about it, by the way. Oh, by the way, show your patience. Where is hot chocolate? I might put her next, by the way. I didn't by the way. Okay, testing. Testing. Okay, testing. Still fine, by the way. I don't talk that much on chat, by the way. Oh, by the way, earlier October, the internet was down because the Amazon web service has been shut, by the way. Yeah, my PRD.
Ruby Gilman, Age of Extinction is coming out.
Whoa! Is that blackface, dude?
So I've been working and researching this topic for a while. And dear God, it's absolute torture. They are so cringe unworthy. Unnecessary racial and sexism slurs. False reporting users for no reason. Copying trolls band together in 2024's playbook.
And so on and so forth.
This video will be like a short documentary subject about the insanity of the trolls band together in 2024 fandom. Lastly, there will be points throughout this short documentary. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the documentary-like video. Recently, I'm beginning to realize that Trolls Band Together in 2024's fans are now copying and pasting what Trolls Band Together in 2024 is currently doing and what he did before in his content. For example, Trolls fan Forever 1997 in her latest videos. She began to copy Trolls Band Together in 2024's content style at her review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I've already talked about it on my last few videos, so go and check it out. And apparently, she's not the only one who copied Trolls Band Together in 2024. SeaWorld Killer Whale copied the content style, although the majority of the video is just the thumbnail. Oliver the Trolls fan copied the message videos from Trolls Band Together in 2024.
And so on and so forth.
This evidence proved that his fans don't come to enjoy his content. They want to steal ideas after ideas and after ideas, and they want to claim it as their own.
What are you doing?
Collecting my bounty!
Bounty?
What are you talking about, cracker? Fuck you!
Yep, I'm doing it. Throughout the history of the Trolls Band Together in 2024 fandom, there are some moments that the fans caused their own controversy. The most iconic one is when Oliver the Trolls fan has said the N-word, when the person is white. What kind of awful parenting that they reached him. I bet those gangsters are on the hunt. It's crazy that YouTube allowed this word to their platform, and that person is not a black person at all. That person is white. I know that I've said to times now, but still, that's messed up. Speaking of Trolls Band Together in 2024, he called the character from Wish, Usha, an N-word on his Discord server. God damn, him and his fans are racist as hell. The next one is when SeaWorld killer whale mispronounced the gender wrong.
You see, that super tutorial been be ranted on Trolls Band Together. He killed Trolls Band Together fan 2001. He killed Trolls Band Together fan 2001.
Bro, how did you get the pronouns wrong? It's a girl, and he said it few more times in the other half.
He go near Trolls fan. He go near Trolls fan. And he is bullying Branch Troll fanboy. And he is bullying Branch Troll fanboy.
He got backlashed by Amelia Rogers, and she made a post that got over 77 likes, which I reposted on YouTube. This evidence proved that the Trolls Band Together in 2020 for fandom doesn't even care about our own race and our genders. And that has got to change.
You should have realised, Peter, that if Voldemort didn't kill you, then we would. Together. No! Hey, this man... I know what he is.
I think people defending Trolls Band Together in 2024's allegations are the dumbest idea, like ever. Like, why are they defending a literal pedophile that actually has feelings for minors? For example, whenever I see comments that said this, most of the people said no, because they know that Trolls Band Together in 2024 is a bad person. Another one, whenever we celebrate the termination of Trolls Band Together in 2001, SeaWorld killer whale is legit defending him. Like, guys, why do you still like him during the drama? And let me tell you something more crazy. One of the defenders, who's a child, is asking a phone number to Alex. Dear Lord, what type of world are we living in? This evidence proved that the stupid and the minors are defending Trolls Band Together in 2024 for being a pedophile and manipulative to everyone. I don't know why their channels are still not been terminated yet.
No meme! No meme! No meme! No meme! No meme!
There's many shitty examples when it comes to false reporting people for both the dumbest and no reasons why. Take SeaWorld killer whale, for example. He reported these users for hating on a movie that he likes. Sound familiar?
Those people who hate Ralph Breaks the Internet and Trolls World Tour, here's something I'm gonna give ya. Boom!
Yep, that method over there. Another example, from the same guy, reported that user for hating movies that never existed at all. Like dude, he didn't watch your films at all, you just reported him for no reason. Lastly, this is his reasons why I'm a bad person.
He is bullying some users.
Have you ever heard the word criticism? It seems that you didn't.
He called me Gary. Stop calling me Gary. My name is Giga.
That's because you've changed channel's name a lot.
Start liking Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter right now.
I don't even know who Olivia Rodrigo is, and I only Sabrina Carpenter for one song. I'm not a huge fan of them, at all. I can only find SeaWorld killer whale as the mass reporter. Let me know who false reported you in the comments section. Anyways, this evidence proved that the fandom used report as a weapon to get people out of their way.
Can I get a spot?
What the fuck is this?
Nah, bro, get that shit out of here.
What's wrong with it?
It's so disgusting that all Trolls Band Together in 2024's fans are now trying to manipulate everyone that Trolls Band Together in 2024 is a good guy and blame everyone else for not liking their favorite things. Branch Troll Fanboy 2009 is still talking about people who didn't like his favorite things on his videos, shorts, and his posts. Trolls Fanboy 2010 is still talking shit on people with some questionable lines and slurs.
Fanboy 2009 single quote S channel. What? He is an for doing that.
SeaWorld killer whale is still blaming people for random nonsense reasons.
Danny Reyes made a video about Sabrina Carpenter is mean. Danny Reyes is such a bully. He's a bully. And don't go to his channel because he's such a bully.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And the main guy made random stuff. And I have my reason why.
Oh, well, it's because they had to make room for the funny.
And he thought stealing videos were funny in his latest videos that he made, at the time that I'm making this video. He still continues to talk shit on everyone till this day, on his Letterboxd account, his Discord, and on YouTube. Anyways, this evidence proved that being rude to other people can be controversial, and they will have consequences in the near future.
About time.
There are two sides to the termination of Trolls Band Together in 2001. One side is everyone joyful and celebrated.
Struck by the band hammer! He got banned!
Hey guys! Look who just won! It's me!
Say, thank God that Trolls Band Together fan is finally gone.
And then, there's the opposite side of the termination. Yeah, the fandom went through depression for a whole day because of the termination of Trolls Band Together in 2001. When he came back to YouTube, the fandom was happy, while others, including us, are not happy. Speaking of which, let's talk about that time. During that time when Trolls Band Together in 2001 was terminated, the fandom is now trying to copy for his rant video style. The example is gonna be SeaWorld Killer Whale, when he attempted to copy Trolls Band Together in 2024 in one of his posts.
Killer Whale, you tried to expose us, but you got a lot of backlash.
This evidence proved that the fandom is overdramatic and such crybabies for a single termination that everyone cheered for.
The ministry has fallen. The minister of magic is dead.
Good lord, why didn't the fandom talk about the apology video from Trolls Band Together in 2024? They knew it's terrible. Like, this has to be the worst apology that I've ever seen. It was so bad that Trolls Band Together in 2024 deleted the video, and the minute the fandom only talked about it.
Harry Thomas Pictures, I'm so sorry for what I said to you.
Alex, we know that it's bullshit. Like Miranda Sings made an apology video.
I've been a horrible friend to you back then.
No shit.
My channel is completely gone. Thanks to me death threatening you.
Well, it's your fault, bozo.
Don't get wrong. I still don't like you.
So what's the point of making the apology video then?
As a YouTuber or just a person in general. And I will never respect any of your opinions.
If you still hate him with his opinions, then what's the point of making the video?
Just because I really hate you doesn't mean I should death threat you.
Dude, it's your idea for sending death threats to him. If you hadn't done that, your old channel would have not been terminated.
I am so sorry for what I did.
No, you were not. You just tried to get back into fame again.
I just hope you understand.
Oh, we understand. The understand of you being bullshit. Anyways, that will be my short documentary and rant of the Trolls Band Together in 2020 for fandom. The users showed their colors of being rude, their current and past allegations, being racist and being exists.
And so on and so forth.
The users need to change themselves, otherwise, there will be more consequences if they continue to go through that rabbit hole. So yeah, make sure that you've liked and subscribed to this channel to see my future videos. Have a good day everyone, take care of yourselves.
let me ask you something. When was the last time you heard any good news relating to Cartoon Network, or more specifically Warner Brothers? Scratch that actually, streaming in general. It feels like every other day some new catastrophic event happens that stirs everyone into a frenzy. Whether that's beloved and successful shows being canned or removed from streaming with no legal way to watch them, shows being canned before they're even given a chance, movies and TV shows being used for tax write-offs mid-production or sometimes when they're close to being finished, leading to them never seeing the light of day and everyone's time being wasted, yap. It's a dark time, and above all, the medium that is getting hit the hardest by all of this, I'm gonna go with malarkey, it sounds funny, is animation. Animation has never really been treated well by corporations for, well, ever. Crunch time, overworking animators to the brink of death, and being rewarded with enough money to put Skittles and ice soup on the table for a week. But things are incredibly dire nowadays, and you'd think after animation basically carried the industry out of bankruptcy during the pandemic that things would start looking up. However, that's a hopeful outcome, a word that in Hollywood means about as little as the word consent. Alright, I think we can save the corporate stuff for later. So, Cartoon Network. It's in a bit of a state right now, I won't lie. All of you watching know what Cartoon Network is, and you likely have a favorite Cartoon Network show you used to watch as a kid or still watch today as an adult. It's a network that many have very fond memories of, and back in the day it was arguably the best channel out of the big three of itself, Disney Channel /XD, and Nickelodeon, especially as Disney and Nick began airing more live-action programming. Cartoon Network has a massive library of iconic and beloved cartoons, and also Lego Chima, and throughout its numerous eras over its 31-year history, it has maintained its reputation as the go-to cartoon channel for all ages, something that for the past couple of years has unfortunately began to wither. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Cartoon Network has been on a steep decline as of recently. Not just the channel itself, naturally with streaming getting bigger the channel itself would suffer, but the brand in general. There's a lot of reasons for this, and before you get all uppity in the comment section, it's not because grah, cartoons were better when I was a kid. It's far more complex than that. If the network was failing because of the quality of its cartoons, then Teen Titans Go wouldn't still be standing after 11 years. It feels like for the past couple of years, Warner Brothers have been determined to kill basically every aspect of CN's brand, and it can only be described as a slow and painful death. Cartoon Network may not be literally dead, but figuratively, it's been cooked for a while. And with the recent removal of multiple of CN's heavy hitters from streaming for a reason that can be summed up as David Zaslav taking his hands off his cock to start shrugging at the camera, now seems like a pretty good time to talk about the decline of Cartoon Network. This is not going to be as long or high energy as my previous decline videos, I just really like the title for this one, leave me alone. For many years, Cartoon Network was renowned for its diverse and quality lineup of cartoons, many of which have stood the test of time and are still popular among kids and adults to this day. No matter what era of the channel, there was always a good number of shows airing that were iconic for their own reasons and helped to strengthen the network's brand and popularity. Love them or hate them, it cannot be denied that the majority of Cartoon Network's programming left their mark and are still popular today. The current era of Cartoon Network is f***ing boring, and it's not necessarily because of the quality of what's here. I mean, you can go on your 40th rant about why Teen Titans Go is the worst thing ever and killed your dog all you want, but compared to every other era of the network, this one is just lacking in any standout cartoons. Look back to previous eras of the network. The dawn of time, you had Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Kids Next Door, Billy and Mandy. Mid-2000s, you got Samurai Jack, Foster's Home, Ben 10, Chowder, Flapjack. 2010s, I mean, good god, I will not understand people who hate on 2010's Cartoon Network. You had Adventure Time, Regular Show, Gumball, We Bare Bears, Steven Universe, Over the Garden Wall. Does that count? I'm counting it. Infinity Train, OKKO. Admittedly, I'm just listing most of the ones that come to mind for me personally, and obviously not everyone likes these shows equally, and yes, each era had its low points. But the point is that no matter the era, there was always stuff to watch. Stuff that left an impact, stuff that immediately came to mind when you thought of Cartoon Network. What even airs on Cartoon Network today? Not counting Adult Swim. I mean, Teen Titans Go really isn't that bad, especially now, but we're not having that discussion today. Craig of the Creek is pretty good and about to end, never mind. Fiona and Cake is amazing but didn't air on the network itself, so that doesn't count. Jellystone is fine. There's a baby show about We Bare Bears. I thought that fad died in the 2000s. Tiny Toons and Total Drama got revivals that I've heard no one talk about. Is that really it? I mean, there's some other shows that have either aired on the network itself or are streaming on Max, not for long anyway, but I don't think I've heard anyone talk about these ever. Either the marketing is just that bad, or there's really nothing here that's grabbing people's attention. There's really not much here. I mean, Craig of the Creek is a leftover from the 2010s and it's the best show in the current lineup, and that's ending soon. Where are the shows? There is nothing here. It's not like what's here is even bad, it's just that barely any of it stands out. There's no variety, no diverse lineup of shows that had their own strengths strengths and aspects that set them apart, and to make this worse, I think we're about to enter an era that just lacks any original programming. Recently, there were a ton of Cartoon Network announcements about revivals of their previous shows. Not reboots, full-on revivals continuing what was already there. Now, stuff like Gumball coming back was just kind of expected because Gumball hasn't really been over. It aired its final episode a while back, but it ended on a cliffhanger that was going to be followed up by the movie. But given a new season is drawing closer and we have no word on the movie at all, I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. So yeah, Gumball being brought back is fine, and I don't think anyone is against having more Gumball in their lives. The other announcement, though, threw me off. A cliff. Regular show is getting a revival, and my god did the alarm bells start ringing with this one. Not that I doubt it'll be good, I'm sure they'll find some way to make it work, but not only did regular show end 7 years ago, but it ended perfectly, even if the final season itself wasn't that great. And this isn't the only IP that CN is bringing back from the dead, because they also have Craig McCracken on board to do his own Powerpuff Girls revival after the 2016 reboot kind of existed. And there's a new Foster's Home show too that's going to be aimed at preschoolers. I mean, okay, if that's what you want to do with Foster's, then sure. But do you guys see the problem here? The complete lack of original programming as is bad enough, but having to rely on previously established shows that ended years ago comes off as nothing more than desperate. I wouldn't mind this as much if we still had new and interesting shows coming out, but there's literally nothing. And who's to say it's going to stop at just these shows? Any day now they could announce a new revival for anything at this point, so long as it makes them money. Now, is this a big problem for me personally? No, contrary to what some of you may think, I don't spend most of my time watching cartoons as much as I have a passion for animation. By the way, please watch Dan Dan, I've read the manga, it's really good. But it's sad to watch one of my favorite childhood channels crumble like this, and it makes me upset knowing that kids today aren't going to get a similar lineup of bangers and new originals that kept me hooked as a kid. And that also sucks for adults too, because many of the best Cartoon Network shows have that multi-generational appeal and can be enjoyed by all ages. And I'm sick of living in a world where new ideas just aren't given a chance and companies just recycle the same IPs over and over again. I have no doubt that the revivals of Gumball, Regular Show, and even Powerpuff Girls will be good, but the network really needs something new. Beyond the current state of the network itself, it feels like Warner Bros. Is doing everything in their power to decrease the presence of Cartoon Network as a brand, despite how big and recognizable it is. It really feels like at every turn for the past couple of years, CN's been getting curb stomped out of relevancy, and a lot of it is purely cost-cutting reasons. It doesn't take a genius to figure out or even research that Warner Bros. Is knee-deep in debt, and David Zaslav's favorite pastime is trying to pull his company out of said debt, which is a Sisyphean task at this point, by being as comically evil as possible. Wanna know why the Cartoon Network Studios building in Burbank got shut down? Cost cutting. They don't want to pay for 2 buildings for their 2 animation studios, so they moved Cartoon Network to the Warner Bros. Animation building instead. And while I guess that makes sense as a cost cutting measure, it is a pretty on the nose metaphor for how figuratively dead Cartoon Network is. The original building that produced all of their classic and beloved cartoons is now shut down. A large and recognizable landmark and symbol in the industry just gone. And if you thought that was Jover enough, then let's look at all the other ways Cartoon Network is being completely stripped of its soul just to line Zaslav's pockets. This past summer, the official Cartoon Network website was shut down and now redirects to Max. At least in America anyway. We still have it in the UK, and I think some other regions may have it too, though to be frank, our version is a lot worse than the US version. But this was still a massive blow to the brand. Not only because of how many fond, nostalgic memories many of us have using this website as kids, either during our free time or playing games on it at school, etc., but again because of what it represented. Cartoon Network's soul being scrubbed from existence. I know it may sound off to give a large company a soul, but comparing what we knew of CN to current day Warner Brothers, yeah, no, CN had a soul, alright, at least in comparison to this Joker. Also, as a side tangent, I find it really sad that so many safe online spaces for kids, such as the Cartoon Network website and Club Penguin, are just dropping like flies. These were high-quality, kid-friendly spaces that stopped kids from accessing other, more mature parts of the web that they shouldn't be seeing at their age. I don't think it's a strange coincidence that the uptick in children using websites like Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, etc. happened around the same time that these safe spaces started getting shut down. The Cartoon Network website, while a shell of its former self, was one of the last of these websites still standing, and now it's gone. And to my knowledge, I don't think many of the games were archived, and a lot of the website itself is now lost media. It's just really depressing to realize that we're heading towards a reality where kids don't have well-made, fun, and safe corners of the internet to use, and instead their only alternative is to access sites that they really should not be viewing or interacting with. Yes, YouTube has a kids version, but almost no one uses it, and the content on there is exploitative and deeply unsettling, so kids shouldn't be using it anyway. And now we get to the streaming side of things. Ever since Warner Bros. Merged with Discovery and Zaslav entered the picture, CN's been getting brutally backhanded with every move they make. Max, or HBO Max as it used to be known as, was once held in high regard as one of the best streaming services you could subscribe to because of Warner Bros. Extensive catalog of IP, and a big part of that was the sheer number of Cartoon Network shows featured on there. Basically, everything was there from every era of the network. So many high quality and well regarded well-regarded cartoons from many people's childhoods, and many that people still enjoy today were all there and accounted for. Then Zaslav took over and things began to change. One by one, Cartoon Network's catalog began to decrease as many shows were removed from Max entirely, and given that some of them don't have many places you can legally purchase them from, this made some shows completely inaccessible for legal means. This practice of removing your own shows from your own streaming service has become a lot more common in recent years, and it's a very hard concept to wrap your head around at first, because why the hell would you even do that? Remove your own content from your own service? It seems completely counterintuitive, like you're just throwing money into a pit of fire, right? Unfortunately, this is just a clever but really scummy way for companies to get away with not paying the people involved with their production any residuals. They just can't be bothered to pay the people that made their hit shows the very small amount of residuals that they're owed, so they just remove the show entirely. Because of this incredibly greedy practice, it's led to an incredibly grim scenario where many shows are now incredibly hard to watch or straight up impossible to watch through legal means, and the creators of said shows are now publicly advocating for piracy if you're interested in watching them. And if you need another reminder about how grim things are right now, as I said at the start of the video, Max recently removed a ton of Cartoon Network's heavy hitters from their service. This included Chowder, Regular Show, The Amazing World of Gumball, We Bare Bears, and Steven Universe. I don't think I need to explain why this is mind-blowing, right? Whether you like these shows or not, it can't be denied that these are some of the most well-regarded and popular shows Cartoon Network have ever produced. Regular Show and Gumball are so popular, in fact, that they announced more episodes were in the f***ing works. Where is the sense in just removing all of this content? Surely paying the residuals isn't costing that much. I refuse to believe this practice is getting Warner Bros. Anywhere close to clearing the $50 billion of debt they're drowning in. In 2 years, the company's only cleared a fifth of that. By the time they get out of it, there's not going to be any fucking content left. And to add insult to injury, to really hammer in how CN is being deprioritized, Max's brand spotlight places Cartoon Network around the middle to low end of it. Adult Swim and Boomerang are above it in terms of priority. It's just really sad. This point extends well beyond Cartoon Network, and it applies to, well, most of the animation industry at this point. Animators and artists who have worked on many of your favorite cartoons are currently unemployed in record numbers, and a big reason for this has been streaming. Not only does streaming allow corporations to see what's popular and chase trends at a much more efficient rate, renewing and cancelling on a whim, this trend chasing completely f***s with animation, given it takes far longer to make than the vast majority of shows. Big name streaming services have already built up massive libraries of content and are overly reliant on established and profitable IP, which also throws a wrench into things given original ideas can barely get off the ground now. And to add further insult to injury, layoffs in the animation industry are rampant right now, as studios are constantly trying to make their finances look better. As previously mentioned with Warner Bros. And Cartoon Network, this leads to extensive cost-cutting measures from the closing of the original Cartoon Network Studios building, the shutdown of the original website, and a constant removal of classic content from streaming services. All of this is topped off with staff being laid off en masse, and because of the lack of original animated programming being greenlit nowadays, as well as studios continuing to chase trends, there simply aren't enough jobs going around to make animation a sustainable career for most people. Last year, it was reported that around 30% of the Los Angeles animation workforce are unemployed, with that percentage only continuing to rise as more studios continue to cut costs in the most pathetic and desperate ways imaginable. Ever since the streaming bubble burst, it has spelled doom for the animation industry, as the big corporations get to keep making these decisions to cut costs and play things safe without any devastating or long-term financial consequences. David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Bros. And all-around dickhead, made $50 million last year while his company lost $3 billion. If something about that doesn't add up, that's because Warner Bros. Is solely focused on making sure its top executives and the CEO reap all the benefits of this destructive rampage they're on, while everyone else has to deal with their projects being shit-canned on a weekly basis and being left out of a job because, to be frank, there are no fucking jobs. This applies everywhere in animation right now, but in Cartoon Network's case, it especially hurts given just how bad the network and brand have been crippled these past couple of years under Zaslav's leadership. Oh, and this is all without mentioning the fact that working conditions for the animation are still subpar across the board. So even if you do get a job in the industry, it's very likely you'll either be treated like shit, forced to crunch, get paid close to nothing, or all of the above. Remember how big of a success Inside Out 2 was for Pixar this year? Massive crunch time, baby, and many people who slaved away on the movie were laid off before it was released and were unable to receive their bonuses, which many people working at Pixar rely on since Pixar is not unionized. It's for all of these reasons that people within the industry are louder than ever about securing a new deal for animation. The Animation Guild is still fighting for a new deal, and accounts like Animation Workers United have been helping to spread the word on the trials and tribulations faced by animators right now. You remember that hashtag RIP Cartoon Network short that went viral this summer? Yep, that was them. The most any of us can really do is also be vocal about our love of animation and our desire for a new deal. And to be fair, it does seem like progress is being made, just slowly. But there's likely still a long road ahead of any successful negotiations. And going back to the topic of the video, I think you can see why this has all had a substantial impact on the current state of Cartoon Network. The lack of original programming, the reliance on existing selling IP, the constant cost-cutting through means of essentially min-maxing the company's finances, which has led to the degradation of the network's brand and the complete and utter termination of its original soul. Make no mistake, while Cartoon Network isn't dead on the outside, it's been dead on the inside for a while, and all Warner Brothers continue to do is puppeteer its corpse as it slowly fades away from relevancy. I'm willing to bet that if things keep going in this direction for the next few years or so, Cartoon Network is just going to cease to exist entirely. It means nothing now. I wanted to make this video longer, but I've said basically all I can really say at this point. Cartoon Network is at a very steep and painful decline. I wish I could have made this video more lighthearted, but it's just a sad state of affairs watching a network that was home to many of the shows that shaped who you are and kept you entertained as a kid be reduced to metaphorical rubble. Maybe one day Warner will snap out of it, maybe one day Cartoon Network will be on top of the world once again, who really knows for sure. But before that happens, things need to change within the industry, because the way things are right now is laughably unsustainable. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Actually don't play Yakuza this time, play Judgment. It's basically a Yakuza spin-off but with Ace Attorney stuff sprinkled in, it's great.
Damn it. Make your character. Some of the most interesting video games to me are the ones that are more toy than video game. I mean, what are video games but fancier, more complicated toys? You wouldn't even have Deltarune if it weren't for Gooey Louie. Since the dawn of video games, the medium has dipped its toes into being more toy-like, rather than being pieces of technology. I mean, for the first decade or so of their existence, video games really were just toys. You plugged them in, played one or two super simplistic games that were normally just a version of Pong. Of course, Atari and later Nintendo came in with revolutionary cartridge-based systems that changed the medium forever, but video games never truly lost that link to the toy industry. You had things like the Tiger handhelds, Tamagotchis, even some of the Toys to Life craze. They're all technically video games in one way or another, but really, you could just consider them toys. Does anybody remember the Zizzle handheld games? I never owned any, but my friend had the SpongeBob and Toy Story ones, and I'm still jealous to this day. But among all of these video game toy hybrids, there are none more famous, more infamous, than the plug-and-play systems. If it weren't for the plug-and-play, we wouldn't have gotten a controller with Kevin Jonas's face on it. For those of you unfamiliar, a plug-and-play console is exactly as it sounds. You plug it in and you play. You might be saying to yourself, well, that's just a normal game console then. Well, first of all, who said you could interrupt me? And secondly, the whole purpose of the plug and play is that that's all you need to play. No additional controllers, no game discs or cartridges, no internet, nothing. Slap some AA's in, plug in your yellow and white AV cables, no red because that's too much to ask for, I guess, and you're on your way to some gaming. You can argue that this all started with those Pong consoles I mentioned earlier, but the earliest instance of a more traditional plug-and-play console was the TV Boy in 1992, which was just a bootleg console with a zillion Atari games. We've really been doing that 1001 shtick for over 3 decades now, huh? Time is a flat circle. Many point to the Activision 10-in-1 by Toymax for the first official plug-and-play system. It was a simple controller with about 10 Atari games built in. Toymax was later acquired by the toy company Jakks Pacific, who must have contracted the plug-and-play symbiote in the merger, because Jakks went absolutely wild after this. If you've owned or even seen a plug-and-play from the 2000s, I guarantee you it was made by Jakks Pacific. They started off light with some classic arcade and Atari game compilations, which were pretty neat. I mean, sure, you had the Namco and Atari compilations on the consoles, but these had the actual controllers these games were played with. Have you ever tried to play an arcade game with an analog stick? Oh, this isn't because of the stick. I just got really pissed playing Mappy. But those weren't the consoles Jakks was known for. These were the consoles Jakks were known for. Licensed kids games were already in their prime around the early 2000s, so you bet your ass the toy company was dipping their toes into the genre. It started off pretty general with your SpongeBobs, your Spider-Mans, Disney, Batman, Star Wars. But then it got a little more wacky with Mortal Kombat, Blue's Clues, Shrek, Fantastic Four, Scooby-Doo, Bob the Builder, Wall-E, Hannah Montana, more SpongeBob, Avatar, Howie Mandel, Phineas and Ferb, goddamn Dragon Ball Z. Okay, wait, that last one's kinda cool. If there was a popular show or movie, Jakks got their mitts on it. One of the most iconic things about these consoles, though, was the controller-console hybrid itself. They tended to get pretty wacky with the designs, basing the controller off the property entirely. Instead of playing SpongeBob games on a regular controller, you're playing SpongeBob games on SpongeBob. This is definitely another reason these felt more toy-like. Sometimes the joystick is just straight up an entire character. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that though. Whenever I played the Avatar plug and play, it just felt like I was strangling the poor kid. On paper, the plug and play is a great idea. No more worrying about what console your child has or if they already have the game. Just buy them the plug and play with the character they like the most and bam, easy $20 birthday gift. These were inexpensive, cool to look at, and had multiple games, so what's the catch? They're a plug and play, that's the catch. A lot of the time, the games were either clones of pre-existing games, had very minimal replay value, or were just bad. I don't know what you were expecting from the Camp Rock video game console, but you probably got exactly what you paid for. Actually, that one's not horrible, but we'll get to that. But you have to remember that a lot of these came out in the early 2000s. You can't expect perfect quality. Or can you? God, I hope so. I gathered a handful of plug-and-plays that I personally found interesting to take a look at. Some I already owned, some I had to buy, and some were actually rarer than I thought for some reason. I definitely wanted more than like the 17 I got, don't get me wrong. But I had to draw the line somewhere. And that line was spending $50+ on a Phineas and Ferb plug and play. Rare my ass. There's like 10 of these on eBay, and there was only like one Camp Rock one. There was also a lot of plug and plays that I just didn't care for or didn't want to cover. Listen, I love Texas Hold'em, but what the fuck am I supposed to say about the World Poker Series plug and play? Finally, they made poker real! So without further delay, let's dive into the world of plugging and playing, and of course, we have to start with one of the most iconic consoles, My Guy Robert. Released in 2003, SpongeBob SquarePants was one of Jakks' first plug and plays. Can you tell? there were quite a few SpongeBob plug-and-plays out there. The Fry Cook games, Jellyfish Dodge, Bikini Bottom 500, the Dilly Dabbler. Oh, to dilly dabble with SpongeBob. But just so half the list isn't only SpongeBob, I just went with the most iconic one, which was probably the worst choice. But what wasn't the worst choice was the design of this thing. I mean, come on, making SpongeBob's nose the joystick? That is genius, if only the quality was that good. Look at this title screen, I feel like it's sentient. There's 5 games in total here. SpongeBob's Bubble Pop, Sandy's Surf Adventure, Invasion of the Hooks, Patrick and the Maze, and the Super Chum Bucket. Each game comes with a little backstory, a quick set of instructions, and you're thrown right into it. It's a combination of high-score arcade-style games and linear arcade-style games. SpongeBob's Bubble Pop and Invasion of the Hooks are alright. Bubble Pop is literally just Breakout but with power-ups, not much to say here. Invasion of the Hooks, however, is this Space Invaders style game where you throw patties at hooks to stop fishermen from taking your friends. Space Invaders might not be the best comparison, but it's all I've got. It's a fine enough high score based game. You do eventually get Krabs and Gary as well, but I never got that far. Skill issue, I suppose. Guess I need to drink some gamer subs using code TOADBUTT for 10% off. Then I'll have the energy to save Squidward. But unfortunately, I have not drank one recently, so he is no longer with us. The Sandy game just plain sucks. It's a side-scrolling shooter, which I'm already not a big fan of, but on top of that, it's a bad side-scrolling shooter. If you get hit, it's back to the start of the level, the controls are a little slippery, and overall, it's just boring. I like the color palette on the background, but that goes for the other games as well, so it's not really an exclusive compliment. Lastly, there's the Maze and the Bucket. Patrick and the Maze is actually kinda cool. A top-down puzzle adventure romp where you have to play mini-games and solve puzzles as Patrick. This would have been my favorite as a kid since it's actually, well, a game. And Super Chum Bucket is just souped-up Donkey Kong. Fantastic. Overall, the SpongeBob plug-and-play is just fine. I can see some value in this for kids though, especially getting to play with the fun controller. The games, with exception of Sandy, are simple and entertaining, its color palette and sprites pop out and are fun to look at, and you get to play with a little Bob. I consider this a solid plug and play. But another solid one is the Atari plug and play, sort of. This is the aforementioned Atari 10-in-1 console. It's an Atari joystick with 10 built-in games. I like this one because it really gives you the Atari experience, unlike a lot of those old compilations. Sure, there's less games, but you get the actual controller, horrible joystick and all. You've got Adventure, Asteroids, Breakout, Centipede, Circus, Gravitar, Missile Command, Pong, Volleyball, and Yar's Revenge. All classic Atari games, but all I needed was Circus and you had me hooked. There's not much to say here. They're Atari games. The most value that can be had here is from people who grew up with the Atari, getting to re-experience these old games in a good way. I'm sorry, but if you were a kid in the 2000s, your ass was not choosing the Atari console over the SpongeBob gaming contraption. But it's a good console, it does what it sets out to do, and Atari games can still hold up decently. Except Pong with the joystick, that's still terrible. The Namco plug and play is up next. There were a ton of these things, including one that I've still seen on store shelves in the past few years, but this is the most bare bones down-to-earth Namco plug and play that there is. Now, why did I buy the one that's technically the worst? Because I got it from a garage sale for 50 cents a year ago, so that's what we're covering. Fun fact, this plug and play was broken right up until I got my footage. I was gonna make a silly little joke being like, oh no, it's broken, I can't play it. But God laughed in my face. You've got 5 classic Namco titles, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaxian, Rally X, and Bosconian? Pac-Man and Dig Dug are obvious picks, But Galaxian, Bosconian, and Rally X? Okay, Rally X is one of my favorite arcade games of all time. But Galaxian and Bosconian? No Galaga, Xevious, Miss Pac-Man, Mappy? Strange choices for the first Namco plug-and-play. But I guess it could have been worse. Galaxian is just a weird version of Galaga, and Bosconian makes me hallucinate, but otherwise, this is a fine lineup. The best part of this console is the console itself. I love the arcade stick and button. It really feels like you're playing on a mini arcade cabinet. Future Namco plug-and-plays do it way better, but this is a solid enough little console. It just needed a little bit more. This, on the other hand, didn't. Power Rangers SPD, Escape of the Five Fugitives. This one actually had two variants, a controller and a joystick. The joystick is obviously the superior one. You get to Lord of the Flies the Red Ranger. I'll keep it real, I know nothing about Power Rangers. In fact, I hated them as a kid. I think I just found my classmates saying "Go Go Power Rangers" so annoying that by proxy, I never touched the show. I do like that one video though where that one guy goes, "You're just boring."
You're just boring! You're just boring!
In this game, you get to choose from the 5 Rangers, each of which needs to stop a different villain from a nefarious deed. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, beat up enemies. I barely played this one. I only bought it because I found it at my local game store, and it was essentially just a cheap little bonus to the collection of consoles that I already had. I do think the fact that it's a beat-em-up is pretty cool. I mean, I love beat-em-ups. The graphics are fine, it's just very much not for me. Hydrax is a dumb idiot. Power Rangers fans, please feel free to kill me in the comment section. At the same time I bought the Power Rangers one, I also got this one. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery of the Castle. I love this controller so much. The stick is a ghost and Scooby is holding on for dear life. Your dog's about to fucking fly out of your van, Fred. Be a little more concerned. Anyways, this might actually be the best one so far. Right off the bat, you have difficulties, saves, and options. It's an immediate upgrade from the last few. 5 games this time around, each representing a different chapter in the story, starting with Race to Fonte Castello. Fred absolutely floors it in the Mystery Machine as you avoid objects on the road and try to survive. Then there's the River of Frights. Hop away on logs while Scooby throws live birds at you. Searching the castle, you play as Shaggy and Scooby making their way through the castle. Pick up items, hide from enemies to get around them, pretty simple. The Mysterious Doors. You need to get from point A to point B using these color-coded doors that lead to one another. Key, enemies, and other obstacles are in your way. Probably my favorite game of the bunch. Lastly is the Dungeon of Fonte Castello, where you navigate the dungeons of Fonte Castello. These games not only are actually kind of fun, but they last a while too. Multiple levels on each, all connected by the same story with charming graphics. Dare I say it, this feels like a video game. No way! Well, we can't have that now, can we? Super Silly Makeover is here to save us from having fun. One of the first fully original plug-and-plays not based on a property. I actually got this one complete in box, pretty cool. It's just a shame I can't close it back up. I may have quite literally opened Pandora's box. The whole premise of this one is that you need to give your character a super silly makeover, corresponding with the word that the announcer uses. Sometimes they need to be silly, sometimes they need to be sad, sometimes the game console just doesn't function at all. After you finish your face, it's judged, and that's about it. It's literally just this one game mode over and over again. I can't see a single reason that this would be similarly priced to something like the Namco or Scooby-Doo ones. This might be the worst one so far. Well, I mean, it did have closable eyelids and a mirror on it, so that brings it back a little for me. Next up, we've got Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 1 Challenges. Unfortunately, this only covers Season 1, so my goat Toph is nowhere to be found. The controller for this one is really cool, having Aang balance on the air scooter. It even spins too, it's such a neat touch. It's a shame I have to crush his bald head to play penguin sledding. 6 whole games this time around, most of which are actually pretty entertaining. Most of them. There's Sokka's Boomerang Challenge, a puzzle game where you toss a boomerang and try to hit the balloons. Zuko's Fire Blast, a much better puzzle game, has you shoot fireballs to hit gates, power-ups, and more. Very interesting puzzle game that I had a fun enough time playing. Then there's Penguin Sledding, which is dumb and stupid. Appa's Air Blitz, a decent side-scrolling shooter, and Avatar Adventure, a whole-ass 2D platformer with multiple movement mechanics. I didn't play a ton of it, mostly because it was getting late and I had been playing plug-and-plays for like 2 days straight, but what I played was actually very impressive. For a plug-and-play, this is the cream of the crop. It actually reminds me of a mediocre Game Boy Advance licensed game. That's the American dream right there. Thanks, Aang. Oh, also, there was like a rhythm game based on the Kyoshi Warriors. I don't know how I forgot about that, but that one's okay, I guess. Flipping from Nickelodeon to Disney, we've got High School Musical all together now. There were actually a lot of live-action Disney properties that got the plug-and-play treatment for some reason. That's because these were for the girls. While boys got Spider-Man and Power Rangers, girls got Hannah Montana and Howie Mandel and Hannah Montana again. I think the funniest one that was marketed towards girls, though, was the Sleeping Beauty plug-and-play. Because that's just a whole ass figure as the joystick. Do jacks just think that girls have never touched video games ever? Oh yeah, I give them a whole ass action figure to play Birthday Celebration with. They won't notice. Anyways, I didn't actually play the High School Musical game because, come on man, it's sealed in the box. I've never been a keep game sealed kind of guy. Even being a retro game collector, I've never been that person. But this is something you need to keep the packaging for. They also repackaged it in 2012 for some reason, 4 years after the last movie. This wasn't the only High School Musical plug-and-play though. There was also this Wii ripoff that I'm now just realizing exists. God damn it, I would have bought that. I'm sure this would have been a blast. I knew the world was missing a Diner Dash clone. Not like we've had any of those. But if you want a Disney Channel movie plug-and-play you can actually see, look no further than the Camp Rock plug-and-play. This was honestly not too bad. You could probably tell from the Jonas-encrusted controller that this is a Guitar Hero clone, and a weird one at that. Instead of a big plastic strumming piece, there's a sensor bar that you have to strum. It works most of the time, but when there's a lot of notes present, aka when you're in a harder difficulty, it'll just randomly stop working. It's really just a watered-down Guitar Hero. The music is good, but that's because it's Camp Rock. If you don't like the Camp Rock music, you're either too young to have seen it, or are a fucking loser. Swear to God I can jam to This Is Me any day of the week. Who's with me? There were a couple other Guitar Hero-like plug-and-play consoles, but this was the only one I wanted to talk about. No more Guitar Hero clones from here on out. What's next? I just said no more Guitar Hero clones. The Nicktoons TV game released in 2004, and similar to the SpongeBob one, it was not the only Nicktoons plug-and-play. You may notice that on this console, there's a slot for something called a game key. I sadly didn't get my hands on any of these, but a game key is a cartridge that you could plug into select Jack-specific plug-and-plays and get extra games for your console. It was basically DLC before DLC was a thing, if DLC somehow sucked even more than it does now. There were barely any of these. In fact, some plug-and-plays had the slot for it, but never had a game key released. Anyways, we aren't missing out on much by not having it. Oh no, I can't play volleyball as Tommy Pickles. Get real, play some Jimmy Neutron Donkey Kong. 5 games this time around, all pretty unique. Of course, there's the Jimmy Neutron game where it's Donkey Kong, but there's no fall damage and you have a drill to trap enemies, or sometimes yourself. Delivery service has you riding downtown Bikini Bottom as SpongeBob, delivering Krabby Patties to the locals under a time limit. Then there's this strange top-down Fairly Odd Parents game where you have to collect stars and navigate a small maze with enemies. I do love this one though, because it's based on the Channel Chaser special. Such a neat idea for a game like this. The rocket power game has you skating down a hill. Never cared for the show, and I don't care about this game. It's okay. And lastly is Cash Dash, a fun short party game you can actually play with other people. The whole thing is you have 3 properties you need to reach on a map, you roll the dice to make your way to said properties, earn cash, and then get back to the start before the others. It ranks based on your amount of money and time it took you to get back. It's nothing groundbreaking, but for a plug and play, very cool. My standards are in hell. The Nicktoons plug and play is also pretty alright. Sure, the rocket power game isn't great, and the SpongeBob one is really simple, but I would have loved this as a kid. Speaking of orange, here's the Fantastic Four TV game. I'm not a big fan of this controller. Could someone tell me why the Thing's got his thing out? Similar to the Power Rangers game, this has you running through side-scrolling beat-em-up stages as the Fantastic Four. I like this one a little more though, since the characters are a lot more unique. Also, it doesn't hurt that I actually like the Fantastic Four. If this wasn't weirdly difficult, this would be a pretty fun time. However, the Spider-Man plug and play is the superior Marvel one. Sort of. Okay, if the last one looked like the Thing was hanging Wang, this whole thing is the Wang. That's just not sanitary. More of a variety of games here, with 5 whole games to choose from. Most of these are simple high score based games like Spider Training, Venom's Vindication, or Vulture's Venture. But Streets of the City and Escape from the Sewers are a little more complex and a little more fun. Streets is a more traditional platformer, having you fight random goons and save the city from the head goons. I do like how Spider-Man moves and controls in this one, and it's a fun little time. But the sewer game is sick. It's a first-person romp through the sewer where you web up lizards and defuse bombs. It's not really complex, but it does remind me of old first-person computer games, and I love that. There's a few other Spider-Man plug-and-plays out there, but this is definitely the most popular one. Okay, this next one I've been dying to play way before I ever wanted to make this video, and that is none other than the Dragon Ball plug-and-play. There's 3 games on this thing, and one of them is pinball. And pinball's the best one! What happened, Goku? This is just tragic. You'll give High School Musical 4 whole games, but Dragon Ball 3? Wrong orange ball, buddy. You've got Kamehameha Assault, Budo Retsuden, and Pinball. Kamehameha Assault is a strange Pong game where you have to bounce an energy ball back and forth. You protect a set of Dragon Balls and try to steal all 7 from your opponent, and the first one that gets all of them wins. It's fine. I like that they did something different from straight Pong, but it doesn't feel very Dragon Ball. What does feel Dragon Ball, though, is Budo Retsuden, a fighting game based on the Butoden series. I love the Butoden series of games. Shout out to Extreme Butoden because that game is so underrated. I can't wait to see what Jax cooked up. It's just a really bare bones mid-fighting game. Hey, at least you can play as multiple characters, and the MIDI cover of Rock the Dragon is pretty cool. Somehow the best game of the bunch by far ended up being Pinball. Pinball's already okay by itself, but this game has enemies, secret paths, boss fights, so damn much for Pinball. I don't know if this is commonplace in pinball games because I've never really played a pinball video game, but I had a blast with this one and could honestly return to beat the whole thing someday. Pinball somehow saved this plug and play from being a complete disaster. There was a game key plan for this with an improved fighting game and a new puzzle game, but Jax decided we've suffered enough. Another one I was really looking forward to was the DreamWorks plug and play. Let's be real, this is a Shrek plug and play. Just look at this console. I don't see a lick of Chicken Run on this thing. For some reason, out of the 5 games, 3 are themed on Shrek and 2 are themed on Over the Hedge. Other movies were out by this point, Madagascar, Shark Tale, fucking ants, but no, we just had to have Donkey Dash. Whatever, may as well see if Donkey Dash is any good.
Try to fix the light.
Hold on a second. Is this just the rocket power game? How depraved of ideas are you that you need to copy rocket power? And then there's Shrek Pinball and Golf, both of which are copied from Dragon Ball and the Nicktoons game key. You couldn't even bother to change the 7 holes in the pinball game? Those are supposed to be for the Dragon Balls. I don't quite remember Puss in Boots using the 7 Dragon Balls to summon fucking Purunga. Dash for Trash is just channel chasers, and lastly, there's a generic puzzle game. Why are they animated like that? I don't feel safe. This is by far the worst one, simply because they just copy and pasted like everything they could have. Okay, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get a chance to talk about this, but I'm just gonna mention it here because I don't know where else I would. This is not the first time that Shrek, video games, and plagiarism have all happened at once. So there was this Shrek the Third game that was on the educational console V-Smile. Great console, had it as a kid, probably sucks now, but that's besides the point. And this Shrek game used full-on Zelda music. Like, it just had straight-up tracks from Zelda in the game. And I think that's the funniest thing ever that they got away with that somehow. I just want to talk about that. But there's another plug-and-play that was bigger than Shrek. Hell, big enough to rival the SpongeBob and Spider-Man ones. And that's none other than the Star Wars plug-and-play, specifically the Revenge of the Sith one. Just like SpongeBob and Spider-Man, there's like 50 different Star Wars plug-and-plays. So many unique and cool ones too, like the motion-controlled rail shooter, the motion-controlled lightsaber, the motion-controlled blaster. Most of these were motion-controlled. I mean, have you seen a Star Wars movie? They move all the time in those, it's perfect for motion controls. But the Revenge of the Sith console is the one I saw the most people own. I have the Darth Vader variant, which looks sick, but there was also a Yoda one, R2-D2, and General Grievous, which looks twice as sick. But they all have the same game, so there was no need for me to waste like $40 to get the other ones. On top of it looking clean, it's an actual controller. I'm surprised they didn't have me play with a lightsaber joystick or something. On to the actual games. There's 5 in total, starting with Droid Invasion. It's like a strange Space Invaders breakout hybrid, where you deflect laser beams back at the incoming droids. It's fine enough. The deflecting is a little wonky, but you can kill some decent...
So here we go.
Time on it. Then there's Coruscant Attack, a basic top-down arcade shooter where you're on Coruscant. Listen, it's been